Ever felt that silent question hanging in the air, the one that can change everything? For Liam and me, it was about her, his past love, and the quiet in our bedroom that night was thick enough to cut with a knife. His hand rested on my hip, a familiar weight that suddenly felt distant. "Do you still think about Clara?" I asked, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. The beat of silence that followed spoke volumes. A small, knowing smile touched my lips. Good. Because in that moment, I knew what I had to do. Fast forward a breath, and Liam's hand was a feather-light touch on my waist as I shifted beside him. The dim light painted long shadows, and the air hummed with unspoken words. My fingers traced the line of his collarbone, watching his stillness. He lay there, one knee cocked, his fingers drumming a silent rhythm against the duvet. His thoughts were miles away. "Do you still think about her?" The question hung again, soft but sharp, his breath hitched. That tiny pause, my cue. I pressed a kiss to his shoulder, right through the soft cotton of his favorite old shirt. "Clara," I added, my voice a bare whisper. "From the old office, the one with the laugh that could shatter glass?" He turned just a fraction, and I saw the muscle tighten in his jaw. He was fighting for composure. My hand settled gently on his shoulder blade. "Good," I repeated, the words smooth as silk. Then I made the call. His head whipped around. "What?" And as if the universe was in on my plan, 3 soft taps echoed from the front door. He pushed himself up, the blanket pooling around his waist. "Wait, what?" A quick kiss on his cheek, and I was sliding off the bed, moving with a quiet purpose. The silence in the room pressed against my ears. "You didn't." His voice was a low rumble, laced with disbelief. I slipped into the silk robe draped over the chair, cinching the belt. Turning back, I offered him a small, enigmatic smile. "It's okay, love. I've got this." The hallway felt cool against my bare feet as I walked towards the door, his stunned gaze a weight on my back. I opened it slowly. Clara stood there, a vision in a sleek black dress, her dark hair pulled back, her lips a slash of crimson. One perfectly sculpted eyebrow arched in amusement, but she said nothing. She didn't need to. She was here because I'd asked. I stepped aside, and our eyes met for a fleeting second as she passed, a ghost of a smile playing on her lips. The air in the bedroom crackled. Liam was still half sitting, the blanket a shield across his lap, frozen between reaching out and retreating. His face was a canvas of shock, hesitation, and utter disbelief. "I poured us wine," I said, already in the kitchen. "Thought we might all need a glass." Clara lingered near the bed, a striking, unreadable statue. When I offered her the first glass, her fingers brushed mine, a fleeting connection. I handed Liam his, my gaze lingering on his bewildered face. Then I circled the bed and settled into the armchair, facing them both. I crossed my legs, the silence stretching. Clara remained standing. Then, with a silent grace, she moved towards him. She was close enough for him to tilt his head, meeting her gaze. Her eyes traced the line of his jaw, stopping just short of his eyes. Her hand rested lightly on his arm. "You haven't changed much, Liam," she murmured, her voice a low velvet, still quiet when it matters. He swallowed, his eyes flicking towards me, but I simply raised my glass in a slow, deliberate nod. Clara leaned in and brushed a soft kiss against his cheek. His hands twitched, unsure. I set my wine glass down with a soft click. "That depends," I said, my voice calm. "Do you want her to stay?" The silence that followed was the answer I needed. I stood and walked towards them. We both stood there, waiting for him to break the spell. "Then show me," I whispered, my hand finding his arm. His breath hitched the moment my fingers made contact. Not a flinch, just a profound stillness, as if he understood the shift, the point of no return. Clara responded first, her hand resting briefly against his chest. He looked up at her, his jaw tight, but he didn't pull away, not even when she stood beside him in quiet understanding. "You're warm," she murmured. "I should be," he answered, his voice barely audible. I sat beside him again, placing his hand gently between ours. Leaning close, I whispered in his ear, "Let yourself be in this, sweetheart. We're here with you." That's when she kissed him. It started softly, a gentle exploration. Then he leaned in, the tension finally melting into a strange sort of peace. My hand moved lightly over his arm. Clara stood still, the room holding its breath. Liam barely blinked. I placed a hand gently between his shoulders as he turned towards her. She leaned in and pressed another kiss to his cheek, this one steady and reassuring. She looked at me, and we held each other's gaze for a moment. Liam's hands shifted, his eyes flicking between us. One hand settled tentatively on my shoulder. Clara leaned close and whispered something only he could hear, while I gently placed his other hand on the armrest between us. His eyes locked with mine, wide, focused, wordless. "Then show us," I repeated. She moved closer, settling beside him. She was already beside him, yet her every movement now felt deliberate, each one considered long before she arrived. My hand rested on his chest, still and grounding. His hand steadied lightly at her side, a hesitant anchor, as if he still couldn't quite believe she was real, but didn't want to let go. I moved closer behind him, my voice a soft murmur. I didn't speak at first, just paused there, feeling the unspoken energy in the room shift and swirl around us. Then I slid my hand forward, covering his on his chest. His heart hammered beneath my palm, a wild, untamed rhythm. Clara tilted her head, resting her cheek near his shoulder. He closed his eyes for a fleeting moment, caught between us. "You're here," I whispered, my breath warm against his ear. "So stay with it." A small, uncertain sound escaped him. His hands rose slowly along Clara's back, steadying her. She nestled closer as his shoulders relaxed. I remained behind him, my hands resting lightly at his sides, feeling the weight of the moment. Then Clara turned to me, her cheeks flushed, her breathing soft, and kissed me gently. It was a moment outside of thought. A still moment hung between us, and when we parted, she offered a small, genuine smile. Her hand reached for mine on Liam's chest, our fingers lacing together. I moved carefully to his other side. The three of us, now a silent circle. My robe rustled softly as I shifted. He reached out instinctively, one hand finding Clara's shoulder, the other resting near me. Clara drew closer, a slow, deliberate movement. Liam responded by reaching towards both of us, his movement still uncertain but open, like reaching for something just beyond his grasp. "We're here. Just stay with us," I murmured near his jaw. He took a breath, sharp and uneven, as he listened. I lifted one of his hands and placed it softly over Clara's. She nodded, her expression unreadable, and leaned towards him again. I stayed close behind, both hands resting lightly where they had been, anchoring us in this strange intimacy. He remained still, quiet under the weight of the moment. I kissed his temple, feeling the heat radiating from his skin. We stayed close, each small movement a silent communion. My hand rested on Clara's back, her head tilted towards his arms wrapped around us both, quiet, connected, and steady. Clara leaned towards him. Hey, resting quietly. I reached towards her back, my hand moving gently across her shoulder. He held her with a newfound tenderness, like grounding himself to something precious. Then Clara shifted, and the dynamic between us subtly changed. Liam's hands tightened on the edge of the blanket. His breathing quickened, becoming shallow. I watched the tension ripple through him, his posture tightening, his gaze flickering between us. Clara lowered her head, her breath soft against his shoulder. I stayed close, my hands resting calmly between them, and in that quiet, charged moment, his name left my lips, a truth spoken aloud after a long silence. Everything stilled, and I smiled. "Be honest. If you were Liam, standing at that crossroads, how would you have navigated that moment when Clara walked through the door? Would you have retreated into yourself or tried to take control of the unfolding scene? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading everyone. And if you're intrigued by where this goes next, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next chapter. Thanks for joining me here.